Questions?
Well, sure.
Just talk.
Yeah, just talk.
This organization is called Styrofoam Out of Schools, and we started this organization 2 years ago because in New York City, we serve 850,000 meals per day. That's a lot. You know why we serve that many meals? Because we have 1.1 million students who go to school, to public school in New York. So what we're trying to do is reduce the waste. We throw out a lot of trash from New York City schools, and part of that trash consists of styrofoam trays. Styrofoam trays, you know what a styrofoam tray is? Like this. We're still fixing this. This was made by students at Parsons. What is a fish? No, you know what that is? Well, some days you might have fish, but this was made by a group of students. And what that is that if any of this styrofoam goes into the ocean, 1 minute. Right. Nate. Yes. Do you know how that happens? Can I tell you why? How that happens? If any of this styrofoam, if your styrofoam cup or your tray goes into the ocean, it breaks down smaller and smaller and smaller to smaller pieces, and eventually it's so small that the fish eat it. And lo and behold, when you go back and eat your fish, you don't really know that fish is eating part of the styrene from your tray. And that's really bad. So we don't want the fish to get sick. We don't want you to get sick. We have to make a change. So part of what we're doing now is we use now paper boats. I don't have one out here to show you, but I will. We're now using paper boats on Tuesdays, which can be recycled. We're starting to teach schools how to recycle those paper boats, how to flip, tap, stack them. So we can cut paper, plastic bags down into half. Because right now in New York City, we are using 1,728,000 bags per year, plastic bags for trash. If we flip, tap, stack, some schools are doing this already, like PS 89 in Battery Park. They're cutting their plastic bags down into less than half of what they used last year. Not only that, we save New York City money, and New York City spends almost $1 billion a year exporting our trash and collecting it. $1 billion! We need teachers, feed people, not landfills.
Oh man, there's so many questions I could ask you too, but it's like, kind of scientific.
You can sign up on the mailing list too,
okay.
And I'll send you an email or take a card. Here, take this. It has a typo, but take that. And that way that you have that if you need it. It's info at SOS if you need it.
What is flip tap?
Yeah, that isn't clear. I have to explain that better. Flip tap, this was made by Parsons students. Flip tap stack is in all your trays, whether they're being recycled or thrown into the garbage. If they're flipped, then you tap all the food waste off of them and then stack and put into the trash can. We cut our plastic bags down in half. In other words, why would we care, right? If it's still going into the landfill or if it's being recycled? Because we're using almost 2 million bags per year in New York City. That's a lot of garbage bags. That's a lot of plastic bags that are going to sit around in some landfill for 500 years or 1,000 years. If we cut in half, we not only save hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wait, so what happens? They flip the tray over?
Yeah, you know, we should set it up. So here you take a tray,
yeah.
You have your food on it, you go over your trash can that is landfill and waste, and you tap it, you flip it, you tap it, and then you stack it, and you stack them up. Unfortunately, don't have a poster of that yet. 1 minute. And then, 1 minute, and then you cut down your plastic bags in half. In Europe, and in a lot of countries in the world, they stack everything. They're recycling, they flatten it.
How does that cut the bags in half?
It takes less room, it's less volume.
Okay.
Okay? And once you make less volume, then you have less plastic bags.
Oh, like less, do you mean like less garbage bags?
Yes! Oh, I didn't make that clear. Thank you.
So it's like the way that you're throwing away trash, you're using a lot less
garbage bags, and they're big garbage bags, and they're 1.5 mil thick.
Right.
You know, they're not like your little bags that most people are carrying around from the store. They're 1.5 mil thick. That's not so thick, but it's thick enough that those bags are going to be around for a really long time.
Right.
And we don't want them, you know, and they're going into somebody else's backyard. Right now, New York no longer has a landfill. We export our trash to Pennsylvania and Virginia. Export it. What does that mean? That means it never really goes away.
Right.
It goes into somebody else's backyard. And imagine that somebody lives near that landfill. And then as that plastic begins to decomposed after hundreds of years, it goes into somebody's water.
Do all landfills have people living near them? Is that just a rule of thumb?
Well, landfills are somewhere, and people are everywhere. Correct?
I don't know. I don't know if people are everywhere.
Well, even if you live in Montana and you're downstream from a landfill, if anything, landfills aren't sealed completely. So anything that's leaking out of the landfill over hundreds of years gets into the ground, gets into the water stream. You don't have to be right next door. You can live downstream and you're affected by whatever chemicals get into your water supply.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the most important thing really is to reduce trash, period.
Yeah, I wish that was said just more often. More,
Right.
just less.
Reduce trash, we save New York City money. And you know what? We all need to do our part to save New York City money. So you want to talk about civic duty? Reduce your trash, and you're a good citizen.